world seems to be sweet, but remember you are not with the world, you are with God.
But a lot of challenges directly to our parents. Maybe your parents are going to come home and all the attention from church is on you.
Hi guys, welcome to my vlogcast. This is Let's Talk About It with Vancy. I have been doing a number of episodes, but previously they were more of audios, and I decided that at the end of this month I should give you a vlog, and that is why we are here. So for those who may not know, I am Vancy Thompson, first of all, and I am a PK pastor's kid, like I used to be called when I was in high school. Yeah, I remember, and that name used to kind of like annoy me, but I made peace with it. And today we are going to talk about what it means to be a church minister's child, or rather a PK. So growing up in a family where your parents are active in ministry, that is what we are going to discuss. However, I am not alone in this house. I am having my two beautiful sisters who are also PKs, and they're going to give us their own side of the story and their own experiences. So I know them because they're definitely my sisters, but I am going to let them introduce themselves by themselves. So we're going to start with my beautiful sister on my left in red. Please say hi to our viewers.
Hello dear viewers, I am Hannah Mwanja, and I am so happy and glad to be with Vancy on Let's Talk About It. Yeah, I'm also a PK, as his pastor's kid. Yeah, it wasn't so nice to be called that name because I first hit the fact that I was PK, but later I also made peace with it.
Okay, let's have the lady in white. Decided to glow, huh?
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. I'm Charity Grace Opio. Actually, I don't think I should call myself a PK because for me, I am rather an RK. My dad is a reverend, and
Okay.
my mom ministers in church too. But I've not really had a smooth time being a PK, as you called it, but I love the experience.
Okay, so we have two PKs and an RK. So if you're gonna be a bishop's kid, that's gonna be like a BK, right? So we're talking about PKs, RKs, BKs,
AK,
and
Apostles' Kid.
Apostles' Kid. Oh my goodness, AKs. Interesting. So I think we'll go with Hannah first. Okay, could you give us a glimpse? What has it been like? What does it mean? I mean, if someone isn't an RK, a PK, or an AK, how can they understand your experience? Growing up as a church minister's child. What has that meant to you? What has it been like?
Oh, if we're to talk about that, it's really a challenging question, but it has not been easy to be a child of a minister. Let me say a child of apostle, pastor, or whatsoever. It's really so challenging because the society expects a certain picture from you. Yet sometimes you also just need to be you. So in this life, I've done a lot of pretense in order to make my parents happy, in order to prove to the society, yes, guys, I'm holy, I pray, just to satisfy the society. It has brought a lot of pretense in me, but yeah, thank God I'm still with him.
Wow. Well. This reminds me of something actually, because about the pretense bit. I also remember, actually for me, growing up as a church minister's kid made me quite a good actor. I mean, how you're good at pretending to be good. You understand? So I had this picture. You come back home, and then there was a mask. And it's like you're this guy, and when you're back home, you're all like, smiling, and your parents believe they have this holy thing out. Don't quote me wrong. I wasn't such a bad boy. But I was a human being too, so I definitely had my weaknesses, right? I mean, maybe let's take it to, to Grace. Grace, what has it been like, for you?
just as I said earlier, I love the experience. I love being an RK. Let me use that because there is a lot my parents have protected me from childhood. You know, a child is supposed to grow up in a uniform line, but well, for me, they protected me from something that I was supposed to do as a child, but then because they passed through it before, they told me don't do this. The first time you're going to you'll not like it because you think they're just depriving you from playing with friends. I grew up in the house. I'm just a house kid. I never had time with friends. I always just, my life was just around the house. So I really appreciate them for that.
Okay,
They
well,
protected me a lot.
sure. Wow. Just you spoke about growing up in the house and all of that. I remember sometime. I mean, we used to escape once in a while because we thought we don't have to go out. Because same as I, and I think it's the same as you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Going out was really a problem. So even sometimes we'd go out to go to your uncle's place, and that is really tough on you. Like you cannot move, you cannot do this. But let's be honest right now as PKs,
In
okay?
fact, for my case, I would sneak.
You would
I
sneak?
sneak out
Okay.
of the house. Then I would overplay. Then they look for me. Then that stop at home. But my mom, I think we had a real fight with my mom. I first see they are doing something else. I run out of the gates. They look for me.
You were quite a stubborn,
Yeah,
hard-headed,
stubborn.
But I don't think, because me honest, I'll be honest, right? I never loved it. I mean, right now I've grown up and I see the importance. Like, okay, my parents are so protective. Don't go here. Don't do this. Don't play with so and so. Don't do that. And I'm like, I have the worst parents. That's how I felt honestly at that time.
That
You know?
feeling comes in
Yeah.
because you don't know exactly what they're protecting you against because you're just a child.
Sure.
When you grow up is when you get to know that they're actually doing you good.
I know. Okay. Maybe I just have another question that just came about, like to know. Hannah talked about expectations people have on us. For example, like for me growing up, there were lots of expectations from the children in my family, because my mom is like the deepest rooted person in Christianity or something, because she's a minister. I'm not saying that she's the holiest or something, but she's a minister definitely. So even my relatives look at her like so there is something expected of her children. They have to be like this and like that, and those eyes are on you. And sometimes your mom is like, what are you doing? What are they going to think about us? You understand? I mean, that is one side. And even society in my neighborhood, I mean, you know how you walk in the streets and everyone is pointing at you with their mouths like
You talk about school.
PK, right? School. Oh my goodness. I recall one time, there was this one moment when, actually I just reported, to school, senior one, Kira College Butiki. And then I arrive and then my proud father, I love you, Daddy, in case you're watching this, I mean, if our parents are watching, it's nothing personal. We love you so much, but we are just being honest about, what it was like, growing up there. So my dad is like, okay, so this is my son, Vance Thompson, and he can preach, he can sing, and he's a lover of God. And I'm like, why has he done this? So the teachers are like, we have a holy kid.
Cool kid.
And then they keep an eye on me, no mistakes. So like, how have you coped up? Was for me, it was really challenging. For you, I think Grace, you could go first. How have you coped up with expectations from society, your relatives, school, and all of that?
Well, the society has expected a lot from, they call them the holy kind of kids because your parents are the holy kind, and then you're also a holy kid. The society expects that straight kid. Yet there's some things you have to do as a child. I mean, you're going to go out with friends, and you're going to, peer pressure is maybe going to make you trim your hair in a different way. And then the society will look at you and be like, also you. But then that was not my real problem. My issue was home. My parents being people of God, the family has been raised that way. I'm the last of 5 children. So all my dad's children are straight children. And then there is me that comes up, that feeling of, you think you're the first to feel, you want to have a different haircut, you want to dress differently.
You want to be the rebel.
You want to be the unique one, let me use that. It really brought me a lot of issues at home because I would feel, this is art. I love art so much. To me, it would be like, this is art. But then, you're coming back home with a different hairstyle. they've sent you to trim your hair, like it's the normal marine kind of hairstyle, and then you come back with a mahawk. My mom is going to be like, is that what we trained you? You know, that they use that verse of train a child the right way to go when you're still young. When you grow up, you won't depart from it. It's just like you're the salt in the community. You're the light. Everybody's looking up to you people, but it was really hard.
I know. This is reminding me of a lot. But talking about how you feel like you want to do things differently. Now, for me, I'm the first kid. It was a bit different for me. Now, I had to set an example. Because it's like I was the deputy minister in the house. So daddy, mommy, and I'm the deputy parent. Right? So there was like a lot of pressure to be perfect. And that's why, I had to play it really, really cool as hard as I could. However, talking about, how you can do, the mohawk, your styles and all of that. And honestly, at some point I feel like we were just trying to be children. We were just trying to be kids, And I feel like, growing up, as a minister's child kind of like robbed me of some part of my childhood. I mean, Hannah, would you think like that? Because me, I honestly feel like growing up as a church minister's child robbed me of some child. I had to be serious. You go, when you turn up in a place and you are the pastor's son, you have to dress like a pastor. I was like a mini pastor somewhere, right? I mean, do you feel the same way? I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, because that's how I see it. I mean, because it was hard to be a kid.
Yeah, it was really hard. And as for me, in case I would go to a new area where people don't know me as a pastor's kid, I would try to hide it. Because, okay, personally, I was stubborn, but also humble at the same time. But anyway, there was a time I remember we had gone somewhere, but because, it was a school party. So they start playing music. Of course, I'm a pastor's kid, but at that time I had to dance. So someone comes, you'll be enjoying your music, like you're enjoying your time. Even you are pastor's. I'm like, yeah, but you guys. So sometimes I would really get nagged. But then at a certain, right now, when I look back, I really thank God that I am a pastor's kid because they've really saved me from a lot of things. Because I remember the time I sneaked out of the house, then went, played with certain guys. Certain guys, like, those good children. So I didn't know them. I see these guys getting papers, putting some things there, then start smoking. So I'm like, oh my God, which kind of play is this? I also wanted to try it out. I get that thing, do it, people. I troubled my mom. I really troubled her. I thank God for that lady.
I know.
Because she hid it from my dad, because my dad wants to
just
know.
told him right now.
Yeah, by the way, you
Okay,
could be
but
watching. Yeah, but by the way,
It's past now.
speaking about that, I know it's past. Well, daddy, mommy, if you're watching us, we are good. I promise that. I know you're proud of
Very
us.
good.
Yeah.
I know you're proud of us. We are very good. And and by the way, talking about that, there was this thing about society. About saying, pastors' kids, PKs, and, church ministers' children always have to turn out bad. I mean, if you look at your life, I think we'll go with Grace first. Do you think that has applied to you? Because for me personally, I am proud of what my parents have done. And despite my weaknesses and flaws, I have turned out pretty good. And I appreciate God for that. What would you say about it? Because people keep judging. I mean, expectations. They say when someone grows up in the church minister's home, they turn out bad. But you might also wonder that, if you look at these things critically, sometimes it's as though they don't expect a church minister's child to be a child. Because children make mistakes, we evolve, we grow, and then we become who we are. What would you say about that kind of, speculation from people?
Well, first of all, if I turned out to be a bad kid, I wouldn't be here.
Definitely.
My dad has a rule in his house: follow me as I follow Christ. So it's either you follow him or follow him, and I'm grateful for that. And I would say I'm just a good kid, and I love that, and I know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hannah, would you say the same thing?
Yeah, because if I wasn't a good kid, I wouldn't be here. I would be out there doing very nasty
Oh my
things.
God. So you were really like good every time?
No, I wasn't good.
I thought I'm the only
no,
thinking
no,
about
No, there's been that peer pressure
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah, I get it, definitely.
The pressure has been coming in here and there, and a lot of things that we've done.
I know.
Well, you're going to make me report myself a little to my parents right now, but it's okay. Growing up, let me talk about high school. I did a lot of things in high school. I did the pageantry, I was everywhere into sports. Yet my parents wanted me to be this class homework, class. It's just that straight kind of kid, but I was a social kind of kid. And with that, it attracts a lot of things to you. People are going to want to look at you with a different motive, yet you have just good intentions for yourself. But then, it's actually just for the good.
Yeah. Just to add on, I think if it comes to judging, I would, for my fellow PKs that are younger than me, it would be better for all of us to not judge them, but then show them the right way. You found the person doing something that isn't right. The same way you can do it to your sister who's not a PK, it's the same way you should do it to us. Because if you judge someone, you make them do a lot of evil, sneaking. You understand? Other than doing something in open, you get to know, hey, smoking is bad. Hey, clubbing is not good. It's not healthy for me. Hey, doing this and this isn't good. Just that.
Wow. I mean, she talked about reporting herself, and I think I want to report myself a little bit here. Well, it's not even reporting myself because we have never had this conversation with my mom. My mom found a love letter in my bag.
Oh.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm like, I sit down, I'm like, wait a minute. And she called me. She's like, Vancy? I'm like, oh my god. It was in my book, And she, so she called me and asked me, Vance, what is this? I pretended like it was nothing, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, thank God now, she wasn't really hard on me. And if she's watching, mommy, I know that was really horrible and terrible. And to the younger PKs, don't do that. Totally terrible, Yeah, but then I think that is what I would say that, I'm not really proud of that because, there was the peer pressure, you're growing up, there was this adolescence, and then, you're trying to live a life, but, you keep doing, your parent, kept, whooping you, get back to this. You're like, no, my mom hates me, my dad hates me, and they're pushing you. For you, Hannah, what is that memorable experience? You may not be, you don't have to be proud of it, but we are being honest. We're just trying to keep it 100, right? So, what is that memorable, rebellion that you can remember? That my parents are trying to put me right here, but I was such a huge rebel, and you're like, oh my God, if I would go back there, I would do things a bit differently. What is that thing that stands out that you remember? Like, okay, this was quite an experience.
Oh, there are quite many, but let me pick out a few.
Yeah.
There is a time there are quite many, but let me pick out a few of the experiences. There is a time when I remember I was in my primary. I went to a Muslim-led school, so I really got interested in this faith. So I'm like, I come back, I tell mom, do not tell dad. If you tell him, I'll never tell you anything. So maybe she kept the promise. I don't know if dad knows. Yeah, so I started acting this faith. Then she knew it, but surprisingly, she wasn't hard on me. But then, I think through her prayers, she saw me coming back to Christ. But you guys, I got so stubborn. And when I left the Muslim faith, I went into that thing of not serving in church. I was just a Sunday goer. Then I was, okay, I'm pregnant. I used to act out my life. I lie mom, I go to a party, what, so she gets to know. I act around, I act as if I'm the most stubborn person I don't want to be told about. Like, mom, for you passed through this stage, why don't you understand? I think she really got in trouble when I was in that stage. I don't know, that senior 1, senior 2 stage. Oh, she really got a lot of trouble. I wasn't sneaking out for, as I used to do to get play, but I was sneaking out for parties. But,
Sure.
I think sometimes she didn't know that, but oh my God, I've reported myself.
Okay, you are
but
next
I'm
level.
now changed.
So you decided to become Hadija sometime, like, yo, oh my God. I know.
Oh my God.
What about you?
Because there is a time she phoned pics. Then I was with a guy, but I would think there's another girl on the other side. So she's like, Hannah. Hannah first come and explain. I'm like, mommy, that was Liver's, but I tell you, not even the teachers were there. Like, But,
I know.
oh my God, I thank God that I'm a new creation.
I know for sure.
And I always tell her, one time I told my parents that the best thing you have ever given me in life is God. Like, God bless you. Because if you didn't train me in this way, even when I would grow up, I wouldn't come back to God. God bless you.
Thank you. I know. Don't make me emotional. Yeah. But Grace, maybe what is your side, your take? What is that one thing you recall like? Okay. I know it's more of like confession time, but well.
I am not going to do that. You're not going to do it.
Okay, so we are in this. Please, we began together.
You guys are attracting a beating for me.
No, but we can vouch for each other. Okay, Daddy, we are good. Grace is a very good girl. We are turned out.
We are very changed.
Don't judge us.
Well, with what Hannah said, she made me feel like I missed out a lot because I knew at that stage, like senior and senior two, I knew a lot was going on because I also had the peer pressure. But then, for me, my siblings call my dad a macho man. If you know Swahili, you know what it means. He's very strict. And just like I told you earlier, it's either you do what he says or you do what he says. That is it. So I didn't have any time to maybe party. Though I would just stay home, sort of depressed because he has refused me to go out, and I had a diary. That's another thing. My diary was my closest friend. I would write every nonsense in there. I write too much. So one time, my mom lands on that diary, and then she's like, "It's like I don't know you," because everything that was in there was grown up, I can say. And she was just surprised and shocked. But for the experiences, I didn't have any. I did not have
Well,
any.
you miss. We were quite the rebels. Not proud though, but yeah, yeah. But back on the aspect of now let's look at it in another context. Now, we thank God that we have turned out good, right? We appreciate God. We are so glad that the teachings we had. But then I sometimes don't judge PKs. Because I've come to understand that, being a child of a church minister, you have to learn to fight from a young age. Because it's as though, when the devil cannot get your dad, they're going to get to your mom. If they cannot get your parents, they're going to get to you. Because it's like, we are like collateral, right? Because if the devil hurts us, he has hurt our parents. You understand? So many times when growing up, we had to fight some battles, that weren't ours, And I know, probably, our parents are watching right now, but it wasn't really easy. You understand? It wasn't really easy. Because sometimes you face some challenges and you're like, oh my God. You understand? You get introduced to a lot of things, at a very, young age. But maybe just, to tip it off to the next thing, I would like to also know. There has been, a kind of like, because now, now all of us are in active ministry, right? Because I know we serve together, at UCF, in the choir, the music ministry, I'm like, okay, so we grew up and that was the kind of life we used to live. Dad is tight. I don't like it. Going to church, oh my God, it's Sunday. Oh my God, it's Friday, overnight and all of that. And look where we are right now because we are serving and enthusiastically doing it, So, how has growing up as a church minister's child shaped your idea of ministry? By ministry I mean it anything general, could be singing in a choir or preaching or whatever it is. How has that shaped your idea of what ministry is, and how has that contributed to the kind of minister you are right now? Because we are so proud right now that we are serving God. And it's because of the background we had, that our parents were hard on us to teach us, to whoop us where it was necessary and, show us the way. We'll go with, with Hannah first. You could tell us, how has, that, shaped your idea of ministry, and how has it led you to this point where you are right now, that you are, passionate about Christ, passionate about the gospel, and passionate about everything, pertaining Jesus in a general way.
Oh, yeah. So, when you are a pastor's kid or a minister's kid, they face certain challenges from church, so they're going to come and talk about it, and you're also there. So remember, sometimes let me call us the sheep. With the sheep break the pastor's hearts. You're going to see him doing something wrong, maybe doing something, and then you just end up concluding in a certain way. So whenever I would see my dad or mom broken because of this, but then after them breaking, I would just see them praying, and then they wouldn't pray bad prayers for these guys. They would instead pray loving prayers. Then you see them forgiving them and ministering amidst of the troubles. When I minister with some of my other friends at this age, they're these kind of kids, when they get wrangles between themselves, they're going to be like, I can do that because this one did this and this. But then from the experience I had with my parents, I got to know that I am serving God with fear and trembling. he tells me that when this one does wrong to me, I'm doing good to them, however much it's hard for me. But it gives me the strength. So when you grow up in a family that ministers God, there is a certain way you're going to do things quite different from someone who has, let me say, who has not been ministering from their childhood.
Wow, I mean that is quite an experience. Before I tip it off to to Grace, you talked about the challenges. That's really true because I grew up seeing my parents struggle. I remember sometime, my mom had my parents had a challenge. There was a case, and like it was a legal case, and the sad bit is that the one who was convicting my parents was one of the congregants, actually the choir leader. Now, ministry evolves. I've come to learn that ministry evolves. People come in, people go out. But now, some people, when they don't get space in the ministry as they please, they become direct enemies. So when you realize that in the process of serving God, my parents, if not even our parents, have had to make some enemies, not intentionally, but some people take things personally. And I'm like, okay, I mean, how are my parents living like this? I mean, this endurance. And then, everything was so fine. Then they were living happily in their society and all of that. So that is what actually stood out. That's what I learned. And right now, something I sit down, I'm like, okay, I mean, growing up with all these challenges, you need to have a hard heart. To do ministry, you have to really have a hard heart. That is what really stood out to me. Maybe, Grace, how has it been for you in those lines?
Well, for me, growing up, following my dad's footsteps. And if I were to have a role model right from church, it's my dad. Because my dad and mom, these people have served God selflessly. People have challenges, but they will not carry their challenges from home to church. But when they come back home, yes, there are the bickers here and there, and they'll try and solve it. Sometimes the children push on it a little, but then they'll always remember that I have a mission. I have something I'm supposed to do for God. And they'll always get back to church selflessly, and they'll keep on serving God. So the words will come. People will talk. It's just how much you're devoted to God, and just stick on your goals.
Yeah, and how has that shaped your idea of ministry? Because I understand you serve in the choir. You're active, in ministry. How has it shaped your idea? How does that, contribute to you as a person?
My idea?
Yeah, of like ministry. Because now you are a minister, right? You serve. So how has, your view of your parents and their ministry contributed to you as, a person, because you're growing up and you get to do this on your personal level?
Well, for me, my main aim for serving God is just winning souls. What else can I do apart from winning souls for God?
So in the way you win your souls and how you do it, because I know that is the goal for ministry. So, what I'm trying to get out of you is, how you've seen your parents. You talked about, how they have to, minister regardless, of the challenges and all of that. I mean, what does that tell you as a person? Like, okay, so, I mean, if my parents are able to do this regardless of challenges, how am I supposed to go about, how I do
If
my...
they can, why can't I? I mean, that's the attitude I carry. If my mom can preach, why can't I? If my dad can sing, he's not a very good singer, by the way. Why can't I?
Oh my God, talking about singing, you see, Daddy, I am sorry, but you are a terrible musician.
My dad as well knows that.
I know, I mean,
And
one
he
day,
loves singing.
I have had my dad sing once, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, where did my gift of singing come from? My mother sings like a child, mommy, you are a worshiper, but yeah. But I was just talking. I was just cracking the joke. I mean, because I mean, it's funny how we all sing. And your dad is a singer too.
My dad is not a singer.
Okay.
I don't use the word forcing life, but
Oh my God.
they love to sing as a couple in church.
Okay.
They love to minister as a couple in church.
I understand.
As for me, my mom is a very good singer because she used to sing with the choir of Pastor Kaiwa. So she has that high Spanish voice. She
Oh,
knows how to
that's
sing.
where you get it
But
from.
then my dad, oh my God, he
He's
also knows it
Yeah.
when he starts singing. if you're playing the piano, just wait a bit, wait for him, then,
Only the Holy Ghost can see it through. Yeah, I will. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much, Grace. For having this conversation with me. Now, this has been a very personal episode because I am in the same thing. We are all PKs. But maybe one last take. What would be your advice? What would you give? What advice would you give to the PKs that are upcoming out there, the younger ones that are still little, and then also to the ministers that are active, the pastors. What advice would you give them? I mean, looking at how you've grown up in your life, what would be your last word, to them? You could look into the camera and then speak to somebody out there.
Well, for me, mine goes to the PKs. Just hang in there, because you didn't talk about the challenges that we have, but we have a lot of challenges directly to our parents, linked to our parents. Maybe your parents are going to come home and all the attention from church is on you, but still, just have it in mind that they are not battling with a family. They have a family, and then they also have flock that they are leading. So just hang in there.
Okay. And then what about to the pastors, the ministers, the parents of
Don't
the
be
PKs?
so hard on your children. We are also normal children.
Okay.
Yeah, we grow up and we experience things here and there. Just don't be so hard.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, Hannah, your last words to the PKs and their parents out there.
It's going to be a scripture. It says that what value is it for you to have the whole world and then lose your soul? So I know the world seems to be sweet, but remember you are not with the world, you are with God. But then when you fall in love with Jesus, you're going to love the things of God because they are valuable, they are profitable, they are so healthy for your life. And for the ministers, our fathers, our pastors, for you, when it comes to us, just do it in love. Because even the Bible tells us God reproves the people he loves. I know you do it with a lot of love, but then when you come with this thing of, I don't want you to do this without anything, you're going to stir up the doing it in you. Yeah.
Sure.
And then the other thing is, you are a pastor at church, but you are my father in the house. See, those are two different things. I need a father, I don't need a pastor when it comes to personal relationship.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe let me also have one last take. I know I'm not being a good interviewer, but please don't look at me like an interviewer. I am a PK and I have some personal things too. Well, to the PKs out there, we turned out good. Don't be afraid. Love your parents, respect them, because that is a commandment. And then the thing is that, they might be so hard sometimes, but it's for your own benefit. Because as we are here, personally, I am so appreciative for how I turned out. And then to our parents, our fathers, we love you so much. Thank you for everything you did for us. Thank you for loving us, for whooping us, for leading us, the right way. But I will also just give a scripture. The Bible says that a man who doesn't a man who doesn't take care of his own family is worse than a pagan. Okay, so our parents were good. I know that because we have testified. Daddy, you took care of me. Mommy, you took care of me. You understand? And Mommy Hannah, Daddy Hannah, Mommy Grace, Daddy Grace, you did a great job, right? But to the other ministers out there, it's important because like Grace said it, that when we are home, we need a father, we need a mother, and the whole pastoring thing doesn't have to be way overboard. Otherwise, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope somebody was blessed. I hope you learned something, and may God bless you. Let us meet next time. Don't forget, I usually have episodes on our podcast every Monday at 9 a. Wait a minute. What's wrong with my English? PM. When is PM is evening? Evening. I'm sorry, I tend to, but 9 p.m. we always have an episode on this very, channel. So please feel free to tune in, engage in the discussions, comment how you feel like, share your experience. You can comment on the video down below and we shall talk about this. Otherwise, I wish you a blessed time. Thank you. Peace out, and we PKs, we love you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.